excruciating pain as if struck by lightning. A purple particle entered his body, and the young man screamed in agony, causing him to fall. After experiencing something strange within himself, the young man suddenly found himself in a room and woke up. The incident originated from a dream he had seen, leaving him confused as to whether he had awakened his talent and felt like the dream was awakening something within him. Then, 100 years later, countless rifts opened above the Earth's surface, unleashing monsters threatening human life. However, there was also dimensional energy that could awaken humans with a talent, leading them towards the era of talent. Later on, the young man was still lost in thought, and after discovering his own talent, he heard a voice from his younger sibling asking if he had awakened his talent. The young man took an item that could assess someone's talent level and judged his own talent to be low, equating it to a chaotic life. Then, his younger sibling entered the room and asked about his talent, saying that it was good. The young man reluctantly replied that his talent was good, and he would protect his younger sibling in the future. Hearing this made his younger sibling happy, and they had already suspected that their older sibling was indeed great. Then, before his younger sibling left the room, the young man was surprised to see a blue screen in front of him. His younger sibling's name was Ye-Yu, and they had an undeveloped freezing talent. The young man was confused and tried to touch the screen, and at that moment, his own status appeared. His name was Ye-Tian. Then, Ye-Yu pulled Ye-Tian's hand to leave the room. This time, something had changed in Ye-Yu's talent description. It said that it could be copied. Seeing that their talent could be copied, and that they could also copy the talents of others, Ye-Tian knew that there was still hope in their life. After that, Ye-Tian and Ye-Yu were in the dining room to celebrate Ye-Tian's awakening. However, after knowing this, Ye-Tian did not copy his younger sibling's talent because he was still unsure of his own abilities, especially when it came to his younger sibling. Their talent was a very rare freezing talent, and if their parents were still alive, they would surely be proud to see Ye-Yu. And then, Ye-Tian left the house. He wanted to test his abilities, which allowed him to see the talents of others within a 3-meter range. Most ordinary people had low-level talents, but at least he could copy talents at a medium level. He still didn't know if his talent could change after copying someone else's talent. So he decided to go to the 5th Academy base, where there were many people with medium-level talents. However, in Ye-Tian's mind, if he had this copying talent, he was confident that he could become stronger than those at the medium level. Later on, after 10 days, at the same location of the 5th Academy at Martial Arts Station Number 3, Ye-Tian was seen with other trainees aspiring to become martial arts fighters. Their trainer said that, to begin with, they must be able to complete physical training to pass, and they must create a whirlwind in front of their chest. Ye-Tian, who was trying very hard to pass, found it very difficult with his low talent. They mocked him. Seeing others struggling was not motivating for them. After the training, Ye-Tian asked his friend named Zhang Bao. He asked who Chen Dong was. Chen Dong was a person who only needed half a month to become a new apprentice martial arts fighter, proudly showing off Chen Dong's signature that he had both, then walking past the crowded pond. Other students mentioned Chen Dong's name, unlike other students who smiled happily seeing Chen Dong smile cunningly, because this was an opportunity for them to observe and copy Chen Dong's talent. Chen Dong said he was not here for photos. The teacher asked him to motivate the other students. However, Ye-Tian suggested to Chen Dong that at least let them shake hands, and that was the goal. Then he had to touch the person to copy their talent. When it was Ye-Tian's turn, he smiled happily. Finally, after shaking hands, he was happy because he had successfully copied Chen Dong's talent. Ye-Tian was still hesitant about the effects after combining talents, especially since his resurrection dream was so painful. However, he chose to merge his talents, and indeed, after pressing it, he felt an incredible pain due to the merging effect. Sometime later, the pain Ye-Tian experienced disappeared, and his talent was now at an intermediate level. Furthermore, to copy someone else's talent, he needed to wait another 30 days to be able to copy, which meant he could copy other talents as well. Ye Tian tried body training, and it was successful. He became more confident with this talent, believing he could even become an elite martial artist or the greatest. Then, a month later, a figure of a blue wolf was seen running through the city. In addition, there was Ye Tian walking back home, carrying a lantern. It seemed like everyone here had to carry a lantern at night. Ye Tian was now training in martial arts there, and there was also a father with his daughter heading home, discussing their dinner. As they passed by Ye Tian, suddenly a mysterious figure pounced on the father, who turned out to be the wolf from before. Later, he was shocked beyond belief. Why was there a monster in the middle of the city, especially when a little child saw his father being attacked by a silver wolf? The people around immediately ran away, but Ye Tian quickly saved the child who was almost attacked by the silver wolf as well. However, Ye Tian was not fast enough to escape from the silver wolf's attack. Luckily, a martial arts warrior had arrived there and prevented the silver wolf from attacking Ye Tian. The man was called, and he would take care of the silver wolf and instructed Ye Tian to protect the child. Later, Captain Gale Wolf stepped forward to attack the silver wolf. Both of them exchanged blows. Gale Wolf knew that his opponent's speed was truly remarkable, but he also had his comrades with him. 3 other people appeared and attempted to attack the silver wolf, but their attacks failed to hit the creature. Instead, they managed to lure it towards Gale Wolf quickly, and with strength, they successfully delivered a powerful blow to the silver wolf. However, that was not enough to kill the creature. In fact, the silver wolf entered a blood explosion mode, its body turning blood red and causing them to be thrown away. Those who witnessed it told Captain Gale Wolf that if the monster wanted to escape, but Gale Wolf assured them that it wouldn't be able to escape anywhere. He was calm because he also had a woman with arrows with him, waiting for the monster, and her attack successfully hit and killed the silver wolf. The martial arts warriors were very proud of their abilities. Ye Tian witnessed a screen appearing on the monster, which also had a talent. The wolf had a beginner-level speed talent, and his comrades seemed confident after defeating Silver Moon. However, it turned out that Silver Moon was still alive and trying to escape. The martial arts fighters prepared themselves to intercept him again. Ye Tian saw an opportunity to copy Silver Moon's speed talent, so he ran towards him and delivered a powerful punch to the wolf, but it didn't stop there. He jumped onto the wolf's body and delivered another strong punch. With each punch from Ye Tian, Silver also appeared and was copied, but he seemed to enjoy beating up the wolf. Captain Gale Wolf stopped him and said that the monster was already dead. Gale Wolf instructed his subordinates to clean up and take care of the child, bidding farewell. Meanwhile, Ye Tian headed to the nearest toilet to clean the blood off his body, fearing that his younger sibling would be scared at home. After that, he arrived home and saw his younger sibling already asleep, mumbling in their sleep. Ye Tian finally understood how terrifying the monster was and vowed to protect his younger sibling, Ye Yu. The story of Ye Tian's journey to become a martial arts fighter. In his room, Ye Tian prepares himself to copy the abilities of a monster. However, during the process, he experiences excruciating pain throughout his body, especially in his legs. Despite the pain, Ye Tian perseveres and manages to copy the monster's abilities successfully. He then moves to the 5th Academy, located in the forest, to test his newfound power. Ye Tian is amazed by his increased speed, which allows him to easily maneuver through the forest. However, he realizes that his strength is still lacking. At that moment, Zhang Bao, who had been searching for Ye Tian, arrives and offers a solution to help them become stronger. They both consume monster blood, which enhances their strength even further. Later, Ye Tian, who knew it, regretted not taking the blood from Silver Moon, brought a solution to the base leaders, opened a new wild zone outside the city, a special area as a test for the 5 religious academies, and the test prize was monster blood. The wild zone is always at a low level, because all the monsters there have been eliminated, leaving only the descendants of the monsters. Then Ye Tian smiled happily, because it was good enough for him. Zhang Bao, as his good friend, invited Ye Tian to join his team, but Ye Tian refused and promised that next time he would be willing to join Zhang Bao's team. Zhang Bao was quite sad because Ye Tian rejected him. However, they will still remain friends. After that, they returned to the academy, so those who already knew how to cooperate with others would be dangerous, especially if their special talents were discovered. It's better that Ye Tian is alone. Ye Tian will take the test and get monster blood, becoming a martial arts fighter. 1 month has passed since Tian found out about the Wild Zone exam by accident. Now Tian is in the director's office, and the director is very angry with Tian for somehow knowing about the exam, especially since Tian doesn't have an invitation letter yet. Tian says that he has reached the internship level in martial arts, so he can register for the exam. The director throws the letter in Tian's face. It is a letter of responsibility for his life if he wants to take the exam. They have to sign an agreement of life responsibility, which means that if they die during the exam, they cannot complain. Tian understands the conditions, and the director angrily kicks him out. Tian signs the letter and leaves the director's office. Meanwhile, the director smiles cunningly, considering Tian a poor child who will regret his decision to participate. Then, in the beautiful morning of the exam day, Ye Yu wakes up. She wants to wake up her brother, but she is surprised when she enters the dining room because her brother has already prepared food there. There is also a small letter that says Tian will have a school event and will return home in 3 days. Ye Yu reads it while hoping that her brother Tian is not in danger. Meanwhile, in the abandoned city, many people are already preparing to take the exam from the 1st Academy to the 5th Academy where Tian is. He is surprised to see so many people there. In that place, there was an individual who seemed to underestimate the 5th Academy and nicknamed it as such. It is worth noting that this person also claimed to be able to hunt monsters and humans here. This person's name is Mo Xiaobei, a genius disciple from the 1st Academy and from the Mo family. Ye Tian, who knew that he came from the Mo family, observed his behavior. At that moment, another person had already drawn his sword and approached, wanting to show it while shouting at Mo Xiaobei and challenging him. Mo Xiaobei seemed to be familiar with this person, and had fought him many times before. Mo Xiaobei mocked the person, saying, "Do you want to lose to me again?" Later, Ye Tian asked someone who knew, "Who is that person?" His name is Li Yunxing, a genius sword user from the 2nd Academy. He was once defeated by Mo Xiaobei. The director, who was also there, was angry because he saw a farmer there. Ye Tian didn't like it when the director wanted to stop them from fighting because Ye Tian wanted to see their abilities. Even he gave them encouragement. He wondered why that person gave him encouragement. At that time, there was a notice that fighting was not allowed here, or they would be disqualified. Reluctantly sheathed his sword again, and he said he would tear apart Mo Xiaobei in the Wild Zone. Just being mocked like that, Mo Xiaobei was already angry. After that, Li Yunxing approached Ye Tianyen, who had the courage to encourage him. He asked what his name was, Ye Tian. Then, Ye Tian used his ability and saw Li Yunxing's sword talent at a medium level, and that was good enough for him to be able to copy Li Yunxing's talent. Ye Tian said while wanting to shake his hand, "Make sure you surpass Mo Xiaobei." In the Wild Zone exam, Li Yunxing welcomed the handshake and prayed that Ye Tian could come out alive. The condition has been fulfilled. Ye Tian has successfully copied Li Yunxing's sword talent. The exam notice has started. The 1st Academy participants will enter the Wild Zone first, including Mo Xiaobei and his subordinates. Meanwhile, Zhang Bao bid farewell to his own team, as did Li Yunxing, who would return to his team because the 2nd Academy would also enter. Meanwhile, Ye Tian took the opportunity to go into the forest, as the 5th Academy would be the last to enter. He had time to unite his sword talent. Ye Tian began the union according to his sword talent, feeling an intense pain in his hand, but he was already getting used to it, and with his determination to become strong. Then, Ye Tian managed to endure it, and a few moments later, he successfully united his intermediate-level sword talent. He tested his sword talent by slashing many trees with a single strike. Currently, Ye Tian possessed 3 talents: speed talent, sword talent, and the 3rd talent. With these 3 talents, Ye Tian returned to the entrance of the Wild Zone. It was already seen that 4 academies had entered the Wild Zone, and now it was the turn of the 5th Academy to enter. What would Ye Tian do? And then, as he entered the wild zone, on his journey, he encountered a large green snake that immediately attacked him. With his new sword skills, Ye Tian flew and chopped off the snake's head to obtain points. He had to bring proof from the monster's body, so Ye Tian took the snake's eye as far as that. The more monsters he hunted, the higher his ranking. And this is the reward that will be given. Ye Tian, who was currently searching for his prey, stopped because he heard something. He saw a group in danger. It turned out to be Zhang Bao's group. They were surrounded by remaining wolves, and only Zhang Bao was still standing and trying to defend himself from the wolf attacks. Seeing his friend in danger, Ye Tian used his bow to shoot the ground accurately, hitting the wolves until they were in front of him. He asked if he could take all the points from these monsters. Zhang Bao, who didn't know Ye Tian's strength, warned him to just retreat. Ye Tian Yen used his speed talent that he obtained from the same wolf, and also his sword talent. Ye Tian quickly advanced and slashed all the wolves within his attack range. Seeing how Ye Tian successfully killed all the monsters there, Zhang Bao was shocked and admired Ye Tian's strength. After defeating the wolf, Ye Tian offered Zhang Bao to take the item, but he refused because it already belonged to Ye Tian. Ye Tian then prepared to hunt again, while Zhang Bao gave up as he was unable to continue, and the test was too dangerous, especially since his team members were severely injured. Only Zhang Bao could lead them out of the zone and keep them alive. Before Ye Tian left, Zhang Bao warned him to be careful of the fruit beasts in the wild zone. Zhang Bao heard rumors that the First Academy was currently besieging a 20-meter-long python, a mythical beast worth 500 points. Ye Tian was delighted to hear this information and asked for the location. Upon learning that it was in the southeast, Ye Tian immediately headed there with the goal of securing the top spot in the wild zone test. Zhang Bao could only pray for Ye Tian's safety and caution. Ye Tian was on his way when he stopped, because he found several dead members of the First Academy on the road. Further ahead, he saw a fire and rushed towards it, only to find a half-demon snake being surrounded by Mo Xiaobei's team members. He then ordered his men to continue attacking the snake and to claim the 500 points. After a series of attacks, his men informed him that the snake was now exhausted and it was time to finish it off. Mo Xiaobei had been waiting for this moment, and he leaped forward, thrusting his sword directly above the snake's head. The snake did not die immediately, but instead swung its tail, throwing Mo Xiaobei's dirty body against the building. Mo Xiaobei did not appear to be injured. Instead, he laughed happily because the 500 points were now his. Ye Tian, who had arrived there, felt late as he saw that the snake was already dead. Mo Xiaobei returned there and felt relieved because he had obtained 500 points. Mo Xiaobei was proud of himself because he deserved to be ranked first. However, suddenly there was an explosion. The snake's energy experienced a bloodburst or blood explosion. Seeing this, Mo Xiaobei was certain that the snake had entered the Rana, a lower-level beast compared to monsters. Mo Xiaobei instructed his subordinates to capture the snake, because the reward had now increased to 1,000 points. His subordinates chased after the snake, which was currently fleeing. Mo Xiaobei had to kill it immediately because it was weak at the moment. He couldn't let anyone else kill the snake first. Ye Tian, who was there, was extremely happy because he knew that the snake was not yet dead. Moreover, now that he had become a monster, if he killed it, Ye Tian would receive 1,000 points. He was in a favorable position at the moment. Ye Tian used his speed talent to quickly head towards the hiding place of the snake. Ye Tian went to the location where the snake had fled. There was also no First Academy there. Ye Tian saw the snake's mucus leading towards a building. Ye Tian was certain that the snake was hiding there. Later, he smiled as 1,000 points were already in front of him. Ye Tian Yen became more confident. Upon entering the place, a strong smell of snakes entered his nose. At that moment, he realized that there was a large snake in front of him, drinking strange drops of water, above water that was definitely not ordinary water. Ye Tian took his sword, then immediately moved forward to attack the snake, which was caught off guard. However, He was surprised to find out that the snake had a quick response. The snake managed to make Ye Tian throw his sword, which flew out of Ye Tian's hand into the air. Ye Tian took his bow and shot the ground accurately, hitting both eyes of the snake until it fell to the ground. At that moment, his sword had already fallen, and Ye Tian's hand quickly moved forward. The snake tried to stop Ye Tian's movement, but it was too late. Ye Tian, who had already pierced its body, did not stop there. Ye Tian continued his stab until the snake's chest was split open, and Ye Tian successfully killed the snake monster. After defeating the snake, Ye Tian, who did not forget, took a bottle to collect the cold liquid from the snake. After that, Ye Tian took 2 viper eyeballs as proof to get 1,000 points. Ye Tian also prepared another bottle to fill with the monster's blood for himself. Of course, the strange liquid bottle was already filled. Although Ye Tian did not know what the liquid was, he decided to split it into 2 active scales that produced the water, so that no one else could get it except for himself. He gathered everything for himself, packed up, and left the place before the first wave of people found it. A few moments later, the first academy group had arrived at the scene. They saw the snake's corpse, missing 2 eyeballs, and its heart drained of blood. Mo Xiaobei was furious to learn that his prey had been taken by someone else. He was enraged and vowed to destroy whoever took 1,000 points from him. Ye Tian had successfully taken 1,000 points that Mo Xiaobei had been hunting for. Mo Xiaobei was still in the vicinity, observing the group that had just left the building. His followers asked what they should do next. In a tone filled with anger and vengeance, Mo Xiaobei ordered his followers to find out who stole his 1,000 points. He would not let this go unpunished. Ye Tian, who had to remain hidden, began to move. He knew he couldn't hide forever. The exam would end in 3 days, and during the final point assessment, they would discover that Ye Tian was the thief. So Ye Tian decided to take advantage of the 3 days to cultivate and become stronger. He searched for a hiding place and used a monster method he had acquired. Sitting cross-legged, he drank a bottle of monster blood. Ye Tian regretted not bringing peanuts, as the taste of the monster blood was terrible. Despite the strong taste, Ye Tian did not stop drinking, thinking of his sister whose life he had to protect. Meanwhile, he, who was left behind by his older brother, still diligently attended school and continued to think about his brother, hoping that he was doing well. After Ye Tian finished drinking a bottle, his cultivation speed increased 4-fold. Ye Tian already understood why other people liked monster blood so much, but there was still a lot of monster blood in his bag, which he would utilize for the next 3 days. 3 days later, the Wild Zone exam was already finished, and many participants returned to the camp to evaluate their hunting results, including Li Yunxing. He obtained a score of 195 points, which was quite high compared to others. At that time, Mo Xiaobei arrived and mocked Li Yunxing for his score of only 195 points. He challenged Li Yunxing by taking out the contents of his bag, surprising many people with his score of 427 points. Yunxing accused Mo Xiaobei of stealing from others, but Mo Xiaobei didn't deny it. He claimed that he obtained those points through his own strength. The first academy student congratulated Mo Xiaobei for being in first place, but Mo Xiaobei stated that the first place should have a score of over 1,000 points. The director, who had been missing all this time, went to the evaluators. If all the students had already left, then those who didn't leave must have died. Why not just make Mo Xiaobei the first place? At that time, the other participants saw a person walking leisurely towards the camp. Who else but Ye Tian, who had arrived at the assessment site, took out the results of his hunt, which included 2 monster eyeballs. Ye Tian asked how many points he had earned, and the assessor said he had earned 1163 points and congratulated him for taking first place. He received the prize of the monster's blood and 100,000 yuan. Zhang Bao was happy to see his friend win, thinking about how Ye Tian could emerge victorious, while Mo Xiaobei was angry, finally discovering who stole his 1,000 points. He then ordered his subordinates to investigate Ye Tian's background. Zhang Bao, who was pleased to see Ye Tian win, overheard the director saying that Ye Tianyen was causing trouble with the Mo family. He expressed concern that Ye Tian might suddenly die after the exam ended. The top three had already taken the podium, with Ye Tian in first place, Mo Xiaobei in second, and Li Yunxing in third. Mo Xiaobei then accused Ye Tian of daring to steal from him. Ye Tian showed no fear at all. Li Yunxing intervened, saying, "Didn't you also mention earlier that Ye Tian stole points using his own abilities? So what's the problem?" Mo Xiaobei laughed and asked, "Who do you think is stronger, you or me?" Ye Tian responded to his words, saying, "We should find out if you have the time. I will gladly challenge you." Mo Xiaobei laughed, exuding his angry aura, showing that he was not one to back down. He would become strong enough so that Mo Xiaobei wouldn't dare to face him. After that, the exam ended. Later, Ye Tian returned home and was warmly welcomed. When he came back, he asked where he had been and if he was okay. Ye Tian replied that he had brought gifts for Ye Yu, including a monster blood book and cash. Ye Yu also noticed a strange bottle. Ye Tian said he didn't know what was inside it, so he bought a treasure map book to find out what the liquid was. They both looked at the contents of the book, and Ye Tian found it. Its name was Terracore Potion, and its function was to enhance cultivation talent at the intermediate level and below. Ye Tian didn't expect the item he took to be so powerful. Then, Ye Yu said that this item would be useful for Ye Tian. Ye Tian said he didn't need it, but it was meant for Ye Yu instead. Ye Yu was surprised to hear that because he hadn't awakened his talent yet. Ye Tian already knew that Ye Yu's cultivation talent was low, so if he drank it, his talent would increase, although they didn't know by how much. Ye Yu even thought about selling the liquid, believing it would fetch a high price. Ye Tian replied that he had already destroyed the place where the potion came from, so no one would believe that it was a Terracore potion. Ye Tian forced his younger brother to drink the corrosive liquid without being able to resist. Ye Yu drank it, and felt his body warm and refreshed. Ye Tian was confused because he didn't see any improvement in his brother's cultivation talent. After drinking it, Ye Yu felt drowsy and wanted to sleep. 1 hour later, while Ye Tian was meditating, he felt a surge of talent waves emanating from his brother's body. Ye Tian then realized that his brother's talent had increased to the intermediate level, doubling his previous talent. It was confirmed that Ye Yu had the talent for freezing, making him the best martial artist. Ye Yu was happy and also didn't forget about Mo Xiaobei, who had challenged him before. So, Ye Tian drank the monster blood from the Wild Zone exam reward. At his home, there were peanuts that could help him not feel the bad taste of the monster blood. This monster blood was of intermediate level, and its effect was to increase cultivation speed. Ye Tian's cultivation increased 8-fold. He also said that he had 2 more left, and if he had more, Ye Tian would definitely break through to the martial artist's stage. 10 days later, in the 5th Academy's forest, Ye Tian was seen continuously practicing the golden steps, rushing to inform Mo Xiaobei that he had arrived to challenge him. However, that was not the case. Mo Xiaobei decided to break through to the martial artist level through isolation training. Ye Tian sat back down, thinking that Mo Xiaobei would come and challenge him. He remained calm. Zhang Bao was concerned about the difference between him and the wealthy ones who could buy many monster areas. If Ye Tian's monster blood was already depleted, he only had low-level monster materials. After using that, Ye Tian could advance to the level of advanced martial arts apprenticeship, and with his talent, he could fight against martial artists. In the residence of the Mo family, in a tightly closed room, the steel door lay in ruins. The museum's subordinates knelt, knowing that their lord had ascended to the level of martial artist and had left the room, his body undergoing a noticeable transformation and his aura increasing to that of a martial artist. His father came to his room, proud of his son's success. As a mid-level martial artist, Mo Xiaobei said, "He will not disappoint." His father mentioned that the head of the family would be the one to give the reward. He knelt in gratitude to his father, and the head of the Mo family watched as his father left the room. Later, Mo Xiaobei asked his subordinates if the task he had given them had been completed. It was a task to investigate Ye Tian, an orphan, so Mo Xiaobei could deal with him in any way. Learning that Ye Tian was an orphan without parents, Mo Xiaobei referred to him as trash. He had thought Ye Tian was supported by a large organization, as he dared to cause trouble for the Mo family. He instructed his subordinates to immediately kill Ye Tian, but they said it would be difficult as he was not in the wild zone. In other words, he ordered them to find a shadow assassin without mentioning the Mo family's name, so they could not be traced. After successfully killing his subordinates, he still gave reasons because Ye Tian was just an ordinary child. Why hire a shadow assassin? In Line High, there is a family solution that can last long, and the rest will become slaves, because every time a miracle emerges, the big family will destroy it from the beginning. In essence, the museum does not want a figure like Ye Tian, who is not from a big family, to appear and wants to kill him immediately. Similarly, in the Fifth Academy, it is not meant to nurture talents, but to be preyed upon by the strong. Meanwhile, in the forest, Ye Tianyen from the academy is seen diligently practicing using his talents. He paused for a moment, looking at the sky about to rain, so he decided to go home. However, on the way home, rain had already started to fall in the middle of the road. Ye Tian saw a status screen above an electric pole, indicating that there was someone there. From the screen there was a name, Li Chun, with the talent of shadow screen. The status disappeared, and Ye Tian felt an attack from above. He quickly used his sword to defend against Li Chun's attack. Ye Tian pushed back, asked who Li Chun was. Li Chun's figure appeared in the darkness, carrying a large red sword. He replied, "I am someone who will finish you off." Hearing that, Ye Tian thought that he was sent by Mo Xiaobei to kill him. But why? Hasn't Mo Xiaobei become a martial artist? Why resort to such deceitful methods without any reason? Li Chun flew and launched an attack. Ye Tian quickly defended against Li Chun's attack. After that, Li Chun disappeared. Ye Tian concluded that Li Chun's talent could make him invisible. Li Chun appeared from behind, but Ye Tian, with his quick reflexes, managed to dodge. Li Chun was confused by the fact that Ye Tian, a novice martial artist, could be so agile. Then it was Ye Tian's turn. From above, Ye Tian, who had already jumped, attacked Li Chun. Li Chun was shocked to see Ye Tian in front of him, but thanks to his shadow talent, he was able to reduce the impact of the attack, although he was still thrown back. Realizing that Li Chun disappeared again, Ye Tian found it difficult to deal with this talent. However, because Ye Tian had the ability to see other people's talents, he could track where Li Chun was. Ye Tian directed a powerful attack upwards, where Li Chun was actually located, and Li Chun received the attack, severely injuring him. Li Chun was confused, as even elite martial artists had difficulty fighting against him. Ye Tian found him young. Dian approached him. He said, "If you want to know how I do it, say it." "Who sent you?" Li Chun, without advancing, raised his sword in front of Ye Tian. Ye Tian, who with one blade managed to jump. When already on the ground quickly, he immediately stabbed the back of Li Chun's body. "I will ask again who sent you." Li Chun laughed. He praised Ye Tian, who was considered the strongest, and could tell who sent him, who else if not Mo Xiaobei. After mentioning that name, Li Chun's body lay lifeless. Ye Tian was furious upon hearing Mo Xiaobei's name being mentioned. He sat down, touched Li Chun's body, and copied his shadow talent. Ye Tian, who was already accustomed to enduring pain from talent copying, successfully copied the shadow talent. With this, Ye Tian now possessed shadow talent, as well as speed and sword talent. His strength increased, and Ye Tian was ready to face Mo Xiaobei, who was currently incarnated. Ye Tian was in the middle of the forest, digging the ground to bury Li Chun's body. After that, he returned home. Ye Tian noticed his body becoming more muscular. After bathing, he headed to the living room to look at Li Chun's belongings. Then, Ye Tian took 2 twin swords, a book, and a large amount of money belonging to Li Chun. He was pleased to find out that Li Chun had a lot of money. Ye Tian looked at the book titled One Sword Technique, Green Copper Level Sword. Ye Tian was happy because with the new book and sword, he could unleash the power of his sword talent. Excited, Ye Tian immediately entered his room to cultivate. Outside, the weather was pouring rain with continuous lightning. Before cultivation, Ye Tian remembered that Ye Yu had not returned home yet. Ye Tian panicked when Mo Xiaobei had previously sent an assassin to kill him, and Ye Yu could also be a target. Therefore, he quickly left the house and searched for Ye Yu's whereabouts, heading to Ye Yu's school. He hoped that Ye Yu was safe, so he felt a bit relieved when he found out that Ye Yu was at school. Since it was a regular school, it would be difficult to kill someone in a school environment. As he searched for his brother's whereabouts, he heard a voice behind him instructing him not to move. Quickly, he turned towards the person behind him and said the same thing. An unexpected encounter between Ye Yu and her brother, Ye Tian. Ye Tian is relieved to see his sister healthy and happy, but he questions why she came home late. It turns out that Ye Yu had duty today. Afterward, Ye Tian invites Ye Yu to go home together. However, Ye Tian notices a black car parked nearby, with someone inside seemingly watching them. Ye Tian wonders why he is still alive and reaches home. Ye Yu advises him to eat quickly, but he continues to observe the car outside their house. This surveillance continues for 3 consecutive days. Ye Tian decides to follow the car and ends up at a construction site, where he sees Mo Xiaobei's subordinates beating someone who seems unable to repay his debt. The debtor pleads for more time to gather the money, but at that moment, Ye Tian's shadow talent kicks in without anyone noticing. Ye Tian inquired about the news of the shadow killer, but there was no information available and he could not be reached. His subordinate would ask someone else to contact him. Upon hearing this, Ye Tian already suspected that the person who was sent from the beginning was emotional, especially with no news from the shadow killer, which made him even angrier. He kicked the person who owed him continuously until the person died, indifferently instructing to dispose of the body. He also asked about his sister. Ye Tian, what method will be used to kill her? His subordinate said that initially he would hand her over to someone else, but now he would do it himself. He tried to calm down the young master, but Mo Xiaobei immediately punched his stomach just because his subordinate was incompetent. Ye Tian, who was above, drew an ancient weapon taken from Li Chun, leaped and swiftly decapitated Mo Xiaobei. Later, his body saw the young master dead easily. They searched for who killed him, and then Ye Tian appeared with 2 swords in his hands. Mo Xiaobei's subordinates thought it was the assassin Li Chun, but in the end, he knew it was Ye Tian, and he was confused. Why did Ye Tian Yen have shadow talent? So he smiled sadistically. He took a deep breath, as if he didn't want to hear the ocean from that person. Ye Tian stepped forward and slashed the person's body to death. Then the other subordinates had already fled. Ye Tian had a lot of blood on his sword with the handkerchief he also took from Li Chun. With the handkerchief, there was the inscription, "Dark." Ye Tian said he was not a livestock that would just stand still when about to be killed and blame yourself for choosing the wrong target. After that, he left the place. An hour later, in the same place the Mo family led by Moen had arrived, he was very angry to see his beloved child dead. One person there found a handkerchief left behind. Ye Tian assumed Mo Xiaobei was killed by a shadow assassin. Then Elder Mo also arrived. His full name is Mojang King. He is a martial arts veteran. The chairman came with a chilling aura, begging to crawl, saying that his child died tragically. He explained what his strengths were, but his life ended sadly, the Elder Mo agreed. Especially since Mo Xiaobei in his mind could reach the level of a martial arts veteran, he begged for revenge and handed over the handkerchief found there. Elder Mo understood that this was the work of a shadow assassin. Later on, he gazed upon the handkerchief illuminated by the artistic moonlight, and there was the emblem of Iron Feng, the previous story, where Ye Tian killed Mo Xiaobei and accidentally left behind the handkerchief. The Elder Mo who found the handkerchief realized that it came from the shadow assassin of Iron Feng. Later, after that, Ye Tian resumed his activities, and at Jiangbao Academy, he had heard all the latest news, including the death of Mo Xiaobei. He also knew that the Iron Fang base was stronger than the base in Linhai, which made the leaders of the Mo suspicious that there might be a secret alliance between the Linhai base and the Iron Fang base. They planned to kill the young elite generation and then take over the Linhai base. Zhang Bao even knew that Mo Xiaobei had been killed. Ye Tian, who breathed a sigh of relief because he was not suspected by Zhang Bao, said that Ye Tian was lucky because Mo Xiaobei was already dead, as Ye Tian had previously had a conflict with Mo Xiaobei. And in Ye Tian's mind, he deliberately left the handkerchief with the shadow symbol so that the Mo family would not suspect him. In the end, that was his intention. But even crazier, Elder Mo found the symbol of the Iron Fang base. Was it possible that Ye Tian accidentally discovered the secret scheme of the Iron Fang? Or could it be that he deliberately tried to create conflict between the two bases? The next day at 4 a.m., Ye Tian was already awake and getting ready to leave. When he reached the front door, Ye Yu, who had just woken up, asked her older brother where he was going. Ye Tian said he was going to train in the Wild Zone. He needed to increase his strength, as he was worried since he had just returned from the Wild Zone. In the previous exam, let alone this time, he would be going alone. Ye Tian reassured Ye Yu not to worry and asked her to wait for him calmly at home. Ye Yu hugged her brother from behind and told him to come back quickly. After bidding farewell to Ye Yu, Ye Tian arrived at the Wild Zone with a barren terrain. He discovered a utopia, and according to rumors, there were high-level monsters in that area. However, with his current strength, Ye Tian could only sneak around the outer area and hunt low-level monsters. Ye Tian was impatient to reach the martial artist level, and then, at that moment, he felt an earthquake, but not an ordinary earthquake. It was because there were monsters fighting. A steel-plated bull named Ye Tian was happily watching the bull's defense talent as it punched a large snake. But he realized that the bull was looking at him. The bull ran towards the place where Ye Tian was standing. Ye Tian, who had put down his bag, flew forward to face the bull. While drawing out his two ancient swords, Ye Tian's attack was successfully blocked by the bull's shield-like body. The bull let out a roar that threw him off, but he was glad to discover such a great talent. Ye Tian, who planned to take it down, advanced with his speed. He aimed to stab the bull's eye as he attacked. The attack was still blocked, not even breaking through the cow's defense, even though his talent was low level, but it was very strong, to the point that one of his fake swords shattered. Ye Tian Yang lost focus, received a blow from the outside, and was thrown away. Ye Tian was once again very pleased with his defensive talent. It was very powerful and long-lasting. Unfortunately, his coffee talent cooldown was still 16 days. Ye Tian, who already knew the strength of the steel cow, could win if he found a weakness in the cow's defense and attacked it stealthily. Ye Tian used his shadow talent to remain undetected by the cow. Ye Tian continuously attacked the cow's defense to find its weakness, even though he was constantly attacked. The cow did not realize where Ye Tian was. By now, Ye Tian had descended. He was confused about where the cow's weakness actually was until he found a thin shield point, right on its buttocks. Without waiting any longer, Ye Tian moved towards its lower body and sadistically stabbed the cow's buttocks until it tragically died. And then, after winning, Ye Tian took a lot of the monster's blood. If it's already dead, no matter how strong its talent is, it doesn't mean anything to Ye Tian. He also took the eyeballs, testicles, and horns of the monster. Ye Tian has already packed up and is looking for a place to cultivate. Ye Tian has found a good place in a cave where he sits and prepares to use the monster's blood. He has also brought peanuts to reduce the bad taste of the monster's blood, so after drinking it, he starts cultivating. And 20 days later, Ye Tian, who has finished cultivating, has long hair and his energy has strengthened. There is an energy explosion as a sign that Ye Tian has entered the realm of martial artists. In another place, two women also see the energy explosion of Ye Tian and do not expect someone to break through the realm of martial warriors. In this barren place, a black-haired woman says that it is very interesting. There is a flower symbol with the words, Martial Pavilion, on her clothes. Then, Ye Tian, who has felt his strength has reached the level of a martial artist, has already consumed the monster's blood. And it has been 20 days since the cooldown time for the copy skill has expired. He comes out of the cave to copy the defense package from the steel bull. However, when Ye Tian arrived there, he touched the bones of the cow. There was a notification that this target was incomplete, and the copying could not be done. It is understandable that the cow's bones were already skeletal, and many parts of its body had been cut off. Therefore, Ye Tian was incomplete in knowing this. Ye Tian would definitely not cut the body of the steel-plated cow into pieces. And the two women were still there and saw Ye Tian. The woman was confused whether Ye Tian was the one hunting the steel-plated cow. The other woman said that the man had just broken into the Rana martial artist and the monster had been dead for a long time. If that's the case, did the person kill it during the apprentice martial arts level? That's impossible, especially since he dared to enter this wild zone. While still observing Ye Tian's behavior, they were surprised when Ye Tian took off his clothes because he wanted to swim in the lake. Both of them felt embarrassed and quickly left the place. While Ye Tian was diving into the lake to clean his body before going home, afterwards, Ye Tian headed to the martial arts market in Bangkalan, Linhai. Ye Tian, who was already there in front of the largest store in the market, and coincidentally the symbol of the same flower as the previous woman from Martial Pavilion, Ye Tian decided to enter the place. As he walked towards it, he passed by two women. Initially, he was very surprised and turned around. He saw the face of the woman who looked very similar to Ye Yu, accidentally calling her by that name. Both of them were confused as to why Ye Tian called her sister. Then, Ye Tian turned around and thought that Ye Yu couldn't possibly be in this place. Ye Tian, upon seeing the woman's status named Yu Ling, had superior cultivation, talent in swordsmanship, and also had sword talent. The woman next to her was very angry because Ye Tian called her boss sister. She stopped the woman and called her Xiao Yu, witnessing what needed to be done to Ye Tian. Xiao Yu apologized to Ye Tian. Ye Tian saw Yu Ling leaving, saying she had other matters to attend to. Ye Tian was then guided by Xiao Yu to sell his supplies. Xiao Yu mentioned that Yu Ling was the manager at Martial Pavilion, and as an apology, they would pay double for anything sold by Ye Tian. Ye Tian was dragged inside and shocked that they would pay double for all his goods. Once inside Martial Pavilion, he saw a lot of high-quality items, and a woman offered him a drink. While Xiao Yu was saying, "How much are the items below?" Ye Tian, who received 40,000 yuan, was very surprised by the price. He had already received a card containing his money, but before he could react, Xiao Yu said, "If Ye Tian can buy items here and get a 50% discount, he would be very happy and wouldn't hesitate." Ye Tian looked at all the items being sold and found them to be very expensive and of high quality. It was no wonder that noble families monopolized the Cultivation Association. Ye Tian had already chosen what he would buy: 1 manual book, 1 monster dictionary, 3 bottles of medium-level monster blood, and 3 bottles of healing potion. Xiao Yu had prepared all the items that Ye Tian would buy, and the total price was 78,000 yuan. After the discount and rounding off, it became 70,000 yuan. Ready to go, he still wondered why Martial Palfulian would give him so many benefits like this. And indeed, before Ye Tian left, Xiao Yu called him. She said her manager wanted to meet Ye Tian. Smiling, Ye Tian asked her to show him the way. Once inside the room, Yu Ling welcomed him. Ye Tian could only admire the resemblance between Yu Ling and his sister, Ye Yu. They introduced themselves, with Ye Tian hailing from Moon High Best, and shook hands. Ye Tian successfully copied Yu Ling's cultivation talent, which was at a higher level. After they got acquainted, Yu Ling mentioned that only VIPs could access the second floor. This made Ye Tian wonder why he was called a VIP when he was just an ordinary person. The truth was, Ye Tian was invited precisely because he had no connection to any prominent family. The nobles were straightforward in inviting Ye Tian to join the martial whole, and Yu Ling extended the invitation while showing a cross-shaped pendant with a martial symbol in the middle. Upon hearing this, Ye Tian couldn't help but imagine his younger sister's pleading face, urging him to join. They truly resembled each other, except that Ye Yu was more cheerful and smiled all the time. He wouldn't be able to refuse if the invitation came directly from his sister. Ye Tian expressed his doubts about why he should be the one to start, as there are many talented individuals out there. In addition, Ye Tian is still a novice warrior. Yuling responded by saying that it's not that there is a lack of talented people, but rather that they always need talented individuals. Ye Tian was surprised by this logical answer and praised Yuling for his great thinking. Ye Tian's younger brother, Ye Yu, wouldn't have said such words. Seeing Ye Tian still hesitating, Xiao Yu tried to persuade him. Yuling also asked what was making Ye Tian hesitant. This was indeed a good opportunity, but if he joined them, he would be bound to them. Moreover, if they found out about Ye Tian's abilities, he could be in danger. Ye Tian replied that he wasn't sure. For example, take the rumor of the Iron Fang invasion. It would be chaotic, and everyone would be fighting each other. Ye Tian finally found peace in his life, and didn't want to become like them or serve people like them. He asked if he was like them. Ye Tian then asked if he was different from them. Yuling understood and told Ye Tian to pay attention to him for the time being and not to answer. Now, Ye Tian only had eyes for Yuling. Ye Tian had already left the material pavilion and was pondering what talent really meant. When people first acquire talent, do they still remember their duties? Isn't their duty to protect society? Then why do they scare others? Ye Tian still wasn't strong enough. He knew he wasn't tall enough. Ye Tian had to continue to grow stronger. He pressed yes to combine the high-level cultivation talent he received from Yuling to become strong in martial arts and stand in a higher place. After 20 days of training in the wild zone, Ye Tian finally returned home. Ye Yu was very happy to see his brother back and immediately hugged him. Seeing the changes in Ye Tian's body, who looked healthier as he walked, Ye Tian said, "Of course, your brother is a warrior." Upon hearing this, Ye Yu was very happy that the Yi family finally had a warrior, which was very different from Yuling, who looked similar but had a very different behavior. Ye Tian sat down and thought to himself, "Just wait until Ye Yu's talent emerges. He will surely become a warrior too." Ye Tian also planned to search for treasure to help improve his abilities. Ye Yu noticed his brother's messy hair, so he took scissors and started to trim his hair, which looked like a beggar's. Ye Yu began cutting Ye Tian's hair as only he could style it. Ye Tian was lost in his thoughts. After their parents passed away, only Ye Yu helped him cut his hair. Then, the past of Ye Tian and Ye Yu was revealed. At that time, Ye Tian seemed to be injured, perhaps from a fight or a fall, as he had a wound on his right cheek and another one on the back of his head. Ye Yu cried seeing his injured brother and asked why they didn't just go to the hospital. Ye Tian, being the older brother, said it was just a minor injury and asked his sister to cut his hair and also to cover the wound on the back of his head. While crying, Ye Yu mentioned, "If only my brother had the ability of Turritopsis nutricula." Ye Yu had previously told Ye Tian the story of Turritopsis nutricula, which had the ability to heal oneself after being injured. A while later they must have already recovered. Ye Tian considered it just a children's story. Why should he believe in that story? Ye Yu, who was still a child, believed that the story was real. After delving into that past, Ye Yu immediately remembered about Turritopsis nutricula. Ye Yu ran, angry because he hadn't finished cutting his brother's hair. Ye Tian took the treasure book he brought. Previously, he searched for the monster Turritopsis nutricula in the book. It was written that it was a fierce water monster with healing abilities, and its location was in the Dead Sea. Ye Tian, who already had the copying skill, wanted that ability so that Ye Yu wouldn't worry about him anymore. Ye Tian approached his brother, who was talking to himself, and saw his brother reading about Turritopsis nutricula. Then, Ye Yu considered it just a children's story and not possible to be true. But Ye Tian was convinced that the story was real. After that, Ye Yu had already cut Ye Tian's hair, which looked the same as before. Ye Tian wanted to cultivate through several stages of training at the beginner warrior level. He could temper his skin at the intermediate warrior level, then his muscles at the advanced warrior level, and finally his bones at the supreme warrior level as he prepared for his transformation. And then, Ye Tian's cultivation talent has been elevated. In addition, to help cultivate faster, he drank monster blood, increasing his speed threefold. He had to wait another 30 days for his coffee skill to become active, and his next target talent is undoubtedly the healing talent of Turi Tabsis Nutricula. Meanwhile, in the Martial Pavilion, Ye Tian, who was heading there, was greeted by Xiao Yu, who was truly amazed at the transformation of Ye Tian, who now looked handsome. If Ye Tianyen comes here, it seems like it's been 30 days. Ye Tian didn't go there to meet Yu Ling. He wanted to buy something. He wanted to buy a map of the Dead Sea, and Xiao Yu from the Martial Pavilion took the map and gave it to Ye Tian. 1 square of it costs Arp 10,000. After getting it, he just left. Xiao Yu, who saw that, was sure that Ye Tian must be planning to plunder there, but according to Yu Ling, that place is full of wild animals, and few warriors come out alive. Ye Tian immediately headed to the Dead Sea, and now he has arrived there. The place is very terrifying, with many buildings in ruins and uninhabited. When he saw the area, he was shocked by the appearance of a large whirlpool of water that seemed to come from nowhere. Then, Ye Tian utilized his shadow talent to observe the situation from afar. From the whirlpool, a mysterious ball emerged, inside of which were 2 individuals. One of them turned out to be Yu Ling, who was carrying a treasure chest, and above them was an old man with an umbrella. Ye Tian was shocked to see Yu Ling there. The old man said that it was already too late, and at the very least, Yu Ling had to leave this place and be safe. Suddenly, a giant-sized monster appeared, ready to devour both of them. Fortunately, they managed to avoid being eaten alive. The creature that attacked them was a top-level ferocious beast in the form of a water dragon. It was the old man who was surprised to see the emergence of such a high-level ferocious beast. He urged Yu Ling to move away and promised to hold off the beast while she ran away, leaving the old man behind. Later, another wild beast appeared, resembling Ye Tian's crocodile, who wanted to go there and save Yu Ling. Yu Ling dodged the crocodile's bite using a secret art. A pink aura emerged along with cherry blossoms. She also drew her sword, and her hair turned pink. Yu Ling quickly found herself on top of the crocodile and slashed its body. Ye Tian, who saw this, was amazed by the secret art that he didn't know about. Initially, Ye Tian wanted to help, but he was too foolish to hunt down the crocodiles. Many crocodiles appeared, but it was all in vain. Yu Ling could easily cut their bodies. Yu Ling was already at the peak of the warrior elite, especially now that she was using her secret art, increasing her strength to the level of a great warrior. Meanwhile, the parents who were with Yu Ling couldn't escape from the water dragon's attack, which held them back from chasing Yu Ling. They urged Yu Ling to leave them behind because the object she carried was more important. From their previous words, Yu Ling brought more than 10 people, and they all died underwater. Yu Ling cried as she reluctantly ran away, leaving her friends behind. Ye Tian, upon hearing this, was curious about the treasure that Yu Ling carried, even if it meant sacrificing 10 people. The secret art has been depleted, rendering him unable to move and falling down. Ye Tian is already in front of him, taking the box. Yu Ling thought that Ye Tian would steal the box, but Ye Tian said he had no intention of doing so. Seeing the approaching crocodiles, he carried Yu Ling's body and searched for a cave to hide. Once he obtained Yu Ling's approval, Ye Tian immediately left. After that, Ye Tian successfully escaped with Yu Ling. He saw that Yu Ling was still unconscious, and he truly did not expect that Yu Ling's face resembled his younger siblings. The only difference was the mole beneath Yu Ling's eye. To confirm whether the mole was real or fake, he rubbed it and discovered that it was indeed a genuine mole. Later, a few hours after Yu Ling regained consciousness, she saw Ye Tian and thanked him for helping her. In her heart, she was amazed to see Ye Tian bravely come here alone and had to make Ye Tian join the Martial Pavilion. Yu Ling took out a brightly shining crystal that surprised Ye Tian and dazzled him. The crystal was called a light stone, which could store light inside it. Ye Tian was once again surprised when he saw Yu Ling take out a bottle from her hand. Then, Yu Ling said she would explain after drinking and recovering her body. Ye Tian was confused about how Yu Ling could take the bottle when she didn't have spatial talent. After pulling Ye Tian up, Yuling wanted to know how to take out the object. She demonstrated it in her right hand, revealing a mysterious pocket, and in her left hand there was a treasure chest. The treasure chest could fit into the smaller pocket. It was not spatial talent, but spatial items. Yuling did not forget to persuade Ye Tian to join the martial pavilion and teach him about it. However, Ye Tian refused. Yuling was very annoyed with Ye Tian for rejecting her twice. According to Ye Tian, after he imitated spatial talent and healing talent, they would be useless. Ye Tian was tired and lying down, thinking about his future plans because Yuling had caused chaos in the Dead Sea, and the situation there was no longer peaceful. 4 months later, Ye Tian cultivated tirelessly until his hair grew long again, and finally, as an elite warrior, Ye Tian felt his body growing stronger and bigger. Ye Tian packed up, and now it was time for the hunt. Later on, during the journey, Ye Tian also saw the graves of 11 people that were definitely made by Yuling. Ye Tian also noticed an umbrella used by the Yuling group before. Out of curiosity about its function, he tried it. It turned out to be a water shield, thanks to which Ye Tian felt like he was in a bubble and could fly while carrying it. Ye Tian could easily dive, so he immediately plunged into the Dead Sea to search for his prey. While underwater, Ye Tian used his shadow talent to avoid being targeted by wild animals. There, a status screen appeared, named Tiger Clovis, which turned out to be the same wild animal that attacked the Yuling group. Fortunately, Ye Tian used his shadow talent. Otherwise, he could have been discovered and eaten. Ye Tian dived even deeper and reached the deepest part to find his prey. He was surprised to encounter tentacles attacking him. The status screen showed it was a Turi top cheese nutricula with advanced healing talent. Ye Tian drew his sword and attacked the octopus, cutting off one of its tentacles. However, with its advanced healing talent, the octopus quickly recovered from the attack. Ye Tian restrained it, touched its body directly, and successfully copied the healing talent. As a result, he was pushed back, and at that moment, a poison attack hit his hand. The umbrella was no longer usable. Ye Tian was shocked to see numerous status screens appearing, all of which he thought belonged to a single creature. But in reality, it was a group. Having copied their talents, Ye Tian knew it was time to flee. Later, Ye Tian successfully reached the surface of the water, but the monsters kept attacking and not giving up. Ye Tian jumped into the sky and used his speed talent to escape. He breathed a sigh of relief as he had managed to flee and even copied the talent of advanced healing. Ye Tian pressed yes to copy it, and the effect caused his body to experience pain due to the frequent copying of talents. Ye Tian was already accustomed to it, so he successfully copied the talent of advanced healing, now possessing the talent of advanced constipation, beginner-level speed, intermediate-level grasping, beginner-level shadow, and advanced-level recovery. Ye Tian tried his new talent, and the wound on his hand that was previously poisoned healed instantly. Ye Tian also tried punching the wall continuously, without any injuries. However, he realized that all this time he had only copied support talents. If he wanted to fight against strong enemies, Ye Tian had to copy attacking talents. After that, Ye Tian returned home. He was sitting, looking at a book about wild animals while Ye Yu trimmed his hair. In the book, there was one wild animal that caught his interest: the divine power. Low-level animals were known for their strength, and if they gathered in groups, even great warriors could not survive. Ye Tian decided that it would be his choice. He headed to the Death Pavilion where he met Xiao Yu. He mentioned that he needed the complete body of the divine power. Unfortunately, the Martial Pavilion did not have it, but they had information on where Ye Tian could find it. Xiao Yu said that the Hibis line was preparing to trade with the middle second base, which had a large collection of animals, including the divine power. The middle scale base was definitely Iron Fang, which was 100 kilometers away from Hibis line. Previously, the rumor about the Mo family being attacked by Iron Feng had been resolved peacefully. Iron Feng then reached an agreement with the Lin family through the Mo family as the mediator to open up a trading route, giving him a card, which was the actual participation badge given to Yu Ling. But the Martial Pavilion's foundation was very large. The Lin and Mo families were not on the same level as the Martial Pavilion, so the plan was made for Ye Tian only, because with that he could join the trading route cleaning operation. After receiving the badge, Ye Tian was extremely happy, especially since this was related to the Mo family. It was time to work. After that, at the Lin family headquarters, there were many warriors who would participate in the operation. More than 100 people, including Ye Tian, who was ready with all his weapons. Lin Mingzi appeared, welcoming everyone who would join the wild animal cleanup. Beside him, there seemed to be a leader, probably Mo Xiaobei. Ye Tian smiled slyly because he couldn't wait for what would happen next. Ye Tian followed the operation to clean up the trade routes of the Lin family and the Mo family. Lin Mingzi, the head of the Lin family, welcomed the arrival of all the martial artists who would follow him. He began to talk about business. However, Linha, with limited resources, was too small to meet everyone's needs in Linha. Therefore, the Lin family wanted to trade on a medium-scale basis, and this operation was very important. Although the risk was very high, the loot from the operation would be greater than usual hunting. All the warriors were happy to hear that. Ye Tian, looking at the group of warriors, saw Captain Gale Wolf participating in the operation. Whether he remembered Ye Tian or not, to boost the morale of the warriors, Lin Mingzi said that all the loot obtained in this operation would belong to the warriors themselves. Furthermore, the Lin family would provide additional rewards. Each warrior would receive 20 blood of medium-level animals and 2 million in money, while elite warriors would receive 3 blood of top-level animals and 10 million in money. Hurry up and register quickly, and you will all benefit from this hunt. All the warriors rushed to register, heading towards a large stone that was said to be able to check their strength levels. If a warrior touched the stone, it would detect their fighting abilities. Ye Tian said that if Yu Ling's words were true about not needing to cooperate with the big family, especially the Mo family, Ye Tian, who was currently at the elite warrior level, wanted to hold back his power to avoid any issues. Ye Tian was already in front of the stone, placing his hand on it and restraining all his strength, until the stone only detected Ye Tian's strength as a top-level warrior. Later, he was very impressed to see a young man at the top level. The other warriors also praised him. Even though he had already reached a high cultivation level, he still attracted a lot of attention in the Gale Wolf group. They also praised Ye Tian, who was still young but already at the top warrior level. One of his friends suggested inviting Ye Tian to join the Gale Wolf team, and coincidentally, Ye Tian was heading towards their location. Ye Tian lowered his hood and greeted the Gale Wolf, and upon seeing Ye Tian's face, they immediately recognized him. They did not expect that within a year, Ye Tian had become a top-level warrior. So the question was whether he could join the Gale Wolf team. Of course, the Gale Wolf welcomed Ye Tian, as they were very happy to have 2 top-level warriors in their team. The Gale Wolf group headed to their hunting location, where according to the map, there were several lower-level wild animals. Later, Ye Tian saw the wolves approaching, calmly said not to panic. They were already surrounded by 5 wolves, instructed his team to get ready. Ye Tian drew his weapon and said, "Just leave it to me." Realizing that Gale Wolf urged him to cooperate, but Ye Tian remained confident. He advanced towards 2 wolves. One wolf was already taken care of. Ye Tian killed him and then kicked the other one, and Ye Tian jumped to stab the wolf to death and praised it. But he had already killed 3 other wolves faster. Ye Tian, who in his heart just didn't want to show his true strength. And then, one person in the team said, "This is very strange. Why didn't these wolves wait for Gale Wolf's team to arrive, attack them in the valley, instead of having a better chance of winning? But not that they didn't want to, but couldn't. That's not their territory, meaning there is a stronger animal there. Hearing that made him worried. But this team has 2 top-level warriors and 3 mid-level ones, especially since Gale Wolf was given a communication device from the Lin family, and it is used to ask for help. When they are in danger, he has calmed down and they continue the hunt. He stops because he hears movement in front of him. Ye Tian sees something above, and above them there is already a fierce animal named the fire lizard. His fire talent is top level. The fire lizard immediately shoots a big fireball at them. Luckily, they quickly dodge. The fire lizard has descended and is facing the Gale Wolf team. With confidence, the three friends of Gale Wolf advance. They might be able to handle the fire lizard alone. However, Gale Wolf sees that the lizard is at the beginner level. The three of them advance to attack Ye Tian, a little worried, but Gale Wolf says it's a beginner-level animal, so just relax. And it's true, the three of them succeed in defeating the fire lizard. They praise each other's strength, even saying it was very easy and they could handle 2 or 3 other fire lizards until a big fireball appeared. The fireball would hit one person. Ye Tian quickly moves towards there and saves him. And then, with the same fiery talent, surely from the same wild beast. Ye Tian said that this was not over yet, and sure enough 3 larger fire lizards appeared than before. Maybe this was at the intermediate level, and all 3 were already in front of the Gale Wolf group. He saw the danger. Gale Wolf used the communication device and asked for help from the base, but there was no answer. They were currently being ignored, unaware that he was being taken advantage of by the big family. He was really angry, not only bringing all his members right now, they were in danger, telling them to run as fast as possible. While he would hold back the 3 monsters, the bald one and the woman couldn't bear to leave their captain, but he immediately ran to save himself regardless of Gale Wolf and left the location. Gale Wolf told Ye Tian to take his 2 siblings and run. The other 2 agreed because they couldn't let Ye Tian, who had a bright future, end here. Ye Tian said, "I will run, but forward." Ye Tian stepped forward while increasing his aura, saying that it was the aura of an elite warrior. And all this time Ye Tian had been hiding it. A large fireball was already heading towards Ye Tian. Ye Tian easily slashed the fireball into 2. He initially didn't want to show his true power, but if he kept hiding, the Gale Wolf team would perish. However, the Gale Wolf team actually has the ability to run alone, but he decided to stay so that his friends could run. If Ye Tian continues to hide his power, what's the difference between Ye Tian and the Mo family? Ye Tian kept attacking the 3 fire lizards, using his speed to avoid 2 fireballs and slashing the building to block them. Ye Tian, who was already in front of the fire lizards, used the Dark One Slash technique. Ye Tian successfully killed 2 fire lizards, showing Gale Wolf how powerful Ye Tian is, making them believe that Ye Tian is already on par with the leaders in the Hibis line. Meanwhile, the person who ran away ended up being caught by 3 wolves and asked for help, but don't mind him. He wanted to survive but ended up running alone. After defeating the fire lizards, Ye Tian asked what they would do next. "Will you follow me or stop here?" Later, he decided to go with Ye Tian. After a while, the Gale Wolf group was already in a safe place to rest and treat their wounds. The Gale Wolf thanked Ye Tian for bringing them to a safe place. Ye Tian said he would continue on and told the 3 of them to stay there or go ahead. They did not doubt Ye Tian's strength, but they were still worried if Ye Tian went alone. However, Ye Tian said not to worry and to go ahead alone. He could stop his 2 friends. He knew that if they followed Ye Tian, they would only be a burden. Ye Tian, who was alone, walked back to the place of the fire lizards before meeting the big family and others. Ye Tian had to test his healing abilities and make sure how strong they were. Ye Tian continued his journey towards the lair of the fire lizards. He felt a vibration in his feet and immediately jumped up to avoid something that appeared, but he did not have time and got hit by the monster. Ye Tian refocused, moving forward while avoiding the attacks of the large hands. Ye Tian had already seen the form of the monster, which was big and had large horns. He had found his match. Ye Tian was happy to have found a worthy opponent. At that moment, the monster shot a fireball, and Ye Tian could not dodge it. The explosion of the fireball was only visible to the Gale Wolf group from afar. They were worried about Ye Tian's condition. Ye Tian was still healthy, but he had turned into ashes. He was very pleased to defeat his enemy, the Fire Lizard King, Ye Tian Mala, and wanted to play a more enjoyable game while fending off the strong attacks from the Fire Lizard King. It was easy for Ye Tian to withstand the fire. Who would be the first to burn out, Ye Tian or the exhausted Fire Lizard King? Ye Tian headed straight towards the mouth of the Fire Lizard King. Meanwhile, the Gale Wolf team continued to watch the explosion that had been going on for an hour. They did not know what was really happening to Ye Tian. It turned out that Ye Tian had emerged victorious, successfully killing the Fire Lizard King. This proved how strong his healing talent was, although it required a lot of energy, which Ye Tian had already felt. Later on, fortunately he defeated the mid-level wild beast. Ye Tian drank its blood to restore his strength after seeing that the battle seemed to be over, and they had returned to their place. Ye Tian was confused why his team was still there, even though he thought they had already left, worried about him. That's why they waited for him and then gave him a change of clothes. Then, Baldy asked what would be done with the carcass of this wild beast if it was up to Ye Tian, because he was the one who killed it. Ye Tian also said, "Don't worry about it, those 3 lizards, just bring the carcass of the Fire King lizard." Gale Wolf was confused whether Ye Tian wouldn't bring it. Ye Tian said no as he left. When asked where he was going, Ye Tian just said he was going to the power zone, and Ye Tian was already on his way. He remembered Gale Wolf's words earlier, saying that this operation was the most difficult in the power zone, and that the number of them in their nest was very large. Even the great warrior himself would not survive if he fought against them. Ye Tian arrived there and saw the group. There was the Mo family led by the young leader Lin Mingxing, and also an elderly person known as the Qing leader. The great one from the oldest Qing Iron Fine base felt Ye Tian's gaze and ordered his men to capture him. Ye Tian was not afraid, as his goal was indeed to join them. Ye Tian, who had been captured, was questioned by the gang leader about who he was. He explained his purpose of being there, and was also asked which family he was from and why he was alone. However, no one from both families knew Ye Tian, which confused the elder. Ye Tian, who was already at the elite warrior level, was not recognized by anyone. At that moment, Lin Mingzi saw an opportunity and claimed that Ye Tian was from the Lin family. Ye Tian remained silent, and was then asked to return to his team. Meanwhile, in a distant place, Yu Ling and Xiao Yu were observing whether Ye Tian would join the Lin family's operation, confidently stating that Ye Tian belonged only to the martial pavilion. Ye Tian was currently part of the main group to cleanse the God Power End, along with the Li family and the Mo family. The group was led by Chairman Qing, who was wearing full armor. Ye Tian's strength was well known to many, and it would be difficult for Ye Tian to be strong quietly. However, Ye Tian was confident that with his current strength, he had nothing to fear. At that moment, Elder Qing ordered them to stop. A light appeared in front of them, bringing news that the formation was ready. They were now in front of the God Power End's nest, which looked like a mountain with many holes around it. As Qing advanced, he also ordered all his soldiers to retreat immediately. Elder Qing used his magical formation called Flambource Rain, and a rain of fire appeared, destroying the God Power End's nest instantly. The formation used by Elder Qing was extremely powerful. Ye Tian, who was very eager to learn about the formation, while Yo Ling was still observing the situation around them, mentioned that it was a valuable formation as the nest of the God Power End was destroyed, leaving many holes on the ground's surface, making the soldiers curious if the ants had been eradicated. Ye Tian himself was very worried that the ants had been destroyed because he had not had the chance to copy their talents. According to Yu Ling, the flame formation was only meant to disrupt the nest of God Power End. Giant-sized ants emerged from the hole, and Ye Tian was very pleased to see that his goal was not yet over. However, like other ants, they always played in groups, and God Power End appeared in very large numbers. Qing ordered them to attack all the warriors, and each group immediately advanced to face God Power End. The same went for Ye Tian, who easily cut down one ant. Ye Tian did not forget to touch the ant in order to copy the talent of the upper-level power. Ye Tian, who had already felt the aura of the upper-level power talent, actually wanted to copy it immediately. However, seeing that there were still many ants and the condition of the battle, Ye Tian abandoned his intention. He had to find a safe place to copy the talent. He ran into 2 ants blocking his way, and Ye Tian easily dealt with them. Everyone there felt a chilling aura, which was the aura of a wild beast at the upper level. Indeed, from one of the holes emerged an ant larger than before, with a different color. It was a god power end at the upper level. Knowing that there was an upper-level beast, Qing ordered his men to run immediately to save themselves. The Mo family, not wanting to suffer heavy losses, and the Lin family, unable to win, of course chose to retreat from the situation. Everyone there retreated inside. Yu Ling, who had been watching all along, was not worried at all because she was sure that Ye Tian could escape. The soldiers who followed suit were confused as to why they had to run, especially since they had many upper-level warriors. However, when they saw the great warrior running first, they were forced to follow suit and did not want to die. Then, Ye Tian was really annoyed with their behavior, claiming to be great and powerful, but they were cowards and untrustworthy. The higher-ups increased their power by consuming the aura of many warriors there, turning them into statues unable to move. Unlike them, Ye Tian could easily move and even run faster. So he knew that there was a strong air pressure in that area, and he had to quickly get away from it. Finally, he managed to escape from that area, knowing that the golden ants were probably feasting inside. This was his chance to flee from that place. Later, Ye Tian had already left and returned to the previous location. He saw the remains of a monster that had undoubtedly been dismantled by the Gale Wolf group. Ye Tian headed towards the top of the building and began to copy the talents of the higher-level powers. If he asked about the side effects, he no longer felt them. Ye Tian only felt his power flowing in front of everyone, a power that only the absolute power could oppose. After a few moments, Ye Tian had finished copying the talents of the higher-level powers, and it was time for him to go home. Later, he was already at his home cultivating. At this point, he already had talent and power, so his strength had increased tenfold. Ye Yu was very angry to see his brother always going out, and when he came home, he would just sit and not move. When Ye Yu got angry, he was ignored by his brother. Ye Yu walked towards the kitchen, cooked, and put a lot of salt in his brother's food. Both of them were already in the dining room to eat. Just as they were about to eat, the doorbell rang. Ye Tian immediately opened the door, and it turned out to be Gale Wolf. He brought a big bag full of loot from the previous operation. So it was actually Gale Wolf who gave it to the Gale Wolf group, but Gale Wolf gave it to him because he defeated them and there was food there. Gale Wolf joined in eating and he ate it very greedily. Ye Tian, on the other hand, didn't eat because he wasn't hungry. Ye Yu was confused and asked Gale Wolf why the food wasn't salty. Gale Wolf answered that it was too bland and should have been given salt. Ye Yu failed to retaliate against his brother. After eating, Ye Tian and Gale Wolf chatted in the living room. Ye Tian asked Ye Tian about the situation outside and the plan to clean up the wild beasts, because for the past few days, Ye Tian hadn't left the house and didn't know the circulating information. He said that Iron Fang and Lahaibi suffered a major defeat, with more than 50 elite warriors dead, including the deaths of the 3 great warriors. At the location of the power end, after the first attack, another group gathered, but they also failed to handle it. In the end, Iron Fang was very angry and sent a Grand Master to confront the God Power Nest. After receiving the news, she also asked if it was really equivalent to her achievement. After that, the girl wolf bid farewell to go home, accompanied by Ye Yu and Ye Tian. At that moment, a person with an annoying face arrived. He introduced himself as Deacon from the Mo family and sent an invitation for a meal at the Mo family's place to Ye Tian. Ye Tian quickly refused and didn't want to leave the house upon hearing the rejection. Deacon became angry, and his aura rose. Still trying to calm Deacon down, he approached Ye Tian and threatened him to accept the invitation or regret it. Then, Ye Tian, who was touched on the shoulder by the Mo family, immediately knocked down the person. After being beaten, Deacon fled to avoid provoking such evil people. But that didn't matter to Ye Tian, especially now that he had his own talent and power. He tore up the invitation and became angry. He would retaliate against Ye Tian's actions. And then, meanwhile at the Mo family residence, There were two people inside the house waiting for something. When Deacon arrived in a hurry and begged for Mo Kangsheng's help, he was the head of the Mo family at the elite warrior level. He asked, "Didn't I ask you to invite someone instead of killing them?" Deacon explained what actually happened. He went there with the intention of inviting Ye Tian respectfully, but Ye Tian immediately ordered him to leave after hearing about the Mo family. Deacon even said that Ye Tian attacked him and tore up the invitation, even though it was his own fault. Mo Kangsheng was angry at the arrogance. Ye Tian was disrespectful. Mo Kangsheng immediately left the place. He gave medicine to the elder Mo, who was still weak, also his father. After using his secret technique to escape from the god power end,